Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Epic Loot Radio. This is Brian and Kirk coming at you, bringing you part 2 of our Game of the Year awards, namely because part 1 was awesome, but we didn't get through
sick.
all of the Game of the Year.
we got through so much less than we thought we were going to cover.
Oh, dude, we had high aspirations. We were so confident going in.
We can cover all this stuff. No, yeah. We got through about 4 categories and had to park the ship right there.
Yeah,
so.
Leaving it off, which was like an epic battle. If you guys have not seen the previous episode, or if you're not subscribed to the podcast or the audio version of the podcast, always search Epic Loot Radio or check the links in the description. But our last battle, Best Action Adventure, we classified Final Fantasy 16 as an action game. I came around to that idea this year, and it was a tough battle, but Hogwarts took the crown in that case. So moving into today, we've got so much to cover, and I got kids at the door. 1 second. Why don't you take us over while I settle what's going on in this?
He's on dad duty, folks. So the next category that we have, first of all, with action adventure, I have to say that it kind of was eating at me that I advocated so hard for Hogwarts and didn't really give a lot of flowers to Brian's Final Fantasy 16, which I've only had the opportunity to play the demo of Final Fantasy 16. At some point, I will play more than the demo of Final Fantasy 16, and I think kind of similar to how Brian was saying that Zelda's probably going to be his best game that he plays in 2024. Final Fantasy 16 is probably going to be the best game that I play in 2024. So I did come on pretty strong for Hogwarts there, but God, the gap between those two games is really so tight. They're both very, very good games, and that's why we had that difficulty trying to decide there. Really just came down to the fact that Final Fantasy is rated M, right? I think that's kind of what we predicated the decision on at the end of the day. But we've got
an M-rated game. Like for me, has no issues, but I always kind of factor this as a parent. I can't escape that reality. And that's also kind of a very important thing. But we got so much to cover, and outside of who knows who's going to rush me, what kids are going to rush me like randomly. That's what it's always fun. Maybe one day
you're like when I did Game Mess Mornings with Jeff Grubb. He's just got kids shoving remotes in his face, and
oh, dude, well, like they've been breaking my toys, all my stuff. We're seeing less and less of those as they rush me. But also, just kind of as a show note, traditionally we really love highlighting and engaging with the various different comments, but we got so much to get through. So please note we are reading your live comments on the show, but we're going to just keep it focused on the discussion. But we've got plenty of shows in the future as well. So just keep it locked here. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and let's jump into the best RPG of 2023. What are our contenders, man?
So I can start with Diablo 4. Which, oh my gosh, when this game came out, it just absolutely owned the summer. I mean, it was the game of the moment. I don't think I've seen. It's been a while. Like honestly, it kind of harkens back to Halo 3 or like one of the old Modern Warfares probably that I've seen an ad campaign that was like this hyped up, this pushed out. I mean, they literally had the KFC meal for Diablo. I mean, they were pulling out all the stops for this game in terms of getting it in the mindshare. And man, did it sell gangbusters, and people really, really liked it in terms of it evolving that one. Yeah, in terms of it evolving that kind of formula that, from Diablo 2 and 3. This is like a massive leap forward. I think personally for me, why it's nominated in a couple categories here is like I don't particularly feel very compelled or drawn toward the kind of top-down isometric ARPG genre. That's just not really my like preference in terms of type of game I want to play. Dude, I spent 50 hours playing this game, and like it went by like it was like nothing. I mean, the level to which they up their game as far as storytelling, as far as world building, like all these sort of elements that like a really good game has that are built around that like core gameplay loop that Diablo is known for having, and it being very good and gratifying and compelling. They built up all that other stuff. The soundtrack slapped. The voice acting was awesome. I don't even know if the last Diablo game was, yeah, it was voice acted, but like the voice acting top notch. You got don't let me forget his name, Ralph Innocent, who also voices Sid from Final Fantasy 16. Amazing voice, low gravelly voice, amazing voice actor. That's one of the leads in this game as far as characters that you interact with. Just a really good ARPG, and like so much innovation over the last game that came out, I think, over 10 years ago. And it's unfortunate that it's kind of like dropped off in terms of, I think when this game came out, people were like, oh, wait, could this contest with Zelda maybe as like a dark horse? Like, is this in the conversation? And now it's like not even nominated at the Game Awards for Game of the Year. So I think that it fell off too hard. I think this is still one of the best games of the year, and I think it would probably compete for this category if not for one or two other nominees in it, which the very next one, Brian, you can tell us about is kind of the problem with any of these other ones getting any recognition, is that this thing is just an absolute juggernaut. I'm
Yes.
talking about Baldur's Gate 3.
Right. It is so incredible. Like, it has set a new milestone, and there was even developers coming out going like, "Oh my gosh, don't expect this level." And the team behind it, Larian Studios, has been building it like the Divinity Original Sin 2. A lot of people maybe not have not played that game. I actually have. And one of the things about that is that people feel like maybe Baldur's Gate 3 is getting more credit than it deserves because Larian built Divinity Original Sin 2. And this is just them just continuing to hone it, and being able to pick up the license from Baldur's Gate 3 makes me go, I hope the next game they do, I'd love to see them do a Neverwinter Nights 3. Like, when it comes to these kind of games, to see, RPGs, seeing this as a turn-based RPG hit such a mainstream, I think that outside of just the technical and just the wildness of how you can play this game is something to be excited about and applauded. And so that's where, like, it, in my mind, like, it's absolutely just one of the things that just to be nominated alongside Baldur's Gate 3 is an award in and of itself. But it's not going to be for everybody. I know that no matter what, like, there's always going to be people who maybe don't like a turn-based, kind of RPG, and that's perfectly fine. But man, I tell you, the fact is that as somebody who loves turn-based RPGs and who really has not been able to step too much into the D&D world, this, I think, was a great refresher off of the very limited experience with D&D that I've had growing up, but also something that makes me more excited to play again and continue to play it into the future. Just like with, I was going to say one thing about Diablo 4, though, is like, I do think that Diablo 4 will be one of those games that we talk about year over year over year. And I do wonder if that is going to be the same, if Baldur's Gate 3 is also going to have that same impact, because there's so much replayability. Just like we're saying, like 2024, it's probably going to go to Zelda for me, unless for some reason Switch 2 drops a new 3D Mario. Sorry, I'm biased, but like, I think it's going to be one of these games that continue to be a part of the zeitgeist within gaming. But yeah.
Yeah, I think Baldur's Gate 3 is kind of gonna occupy the zeitgeist as like the new Witcher 3. Like
That's a really
everybody
good point.
for years and years and
Yeah,
years,
Witcher
it's like,
3,
yeah,
Witcher
it's
3.
kind of like The Witcher, kind of like, I mean, we were talking about Hogwarts, kind of like The Witcher. I think Baldur's Gate 3 is gonna be that now, and I guess Diablo maybe will get talked about as kind of like an ARPG MMO light, like. I guess the closest comparison I can come up with is Destiny. I don't see. You would have thought that with the trajectory that it was hitting initially, it had like that, like, boom, it's popular, and now it's kind of fallen off a little bit. But Destiny had some hiccups as well. So
Yeah.
I think that this game will have a resurgence. It will have very, very good seasons. Talking about Diablo now, but yeah,
well, and especially with an expansion model that they've already
yeah.
announced the next expansion, so you could end up, it's going to be that reminder of like, oh, but did you enjoy Diablo? By the way, we've got more Diablo.
Whereas Baldur's Gate 3 is just going to be like, it came out, it's one of the greatest RPGs ever made.
They're still also supporting it, like patching, fixing various things, and it's like that, like, in terms of it, like, there's so much content there that, let them take their time. I think that the team in and of itself is, it is such a solid game, for sure.
Well, one of your nominees also, Brian, I think Baldur's Gate was yours, is an indie darling to
Yes.
come out of this year, a little game called Sea of
Sea of
Stars that
Stars.
took the video game coverage industry just by storm. I mean, everybody on Twitter that I know that covers games, from like Tamor Hussein to Jeff Grubb to anybody in the industry, was like, this game is something else. So what can you tell us about Sea of Stars,
So
Brian?
Sea of Stars it feels like a love letter to the 90s RPG, kind of with that Chrono Trigger, but it takes some interesting approaches to how you kind of go through the world and the map. And then at the same time, also some fun mechanics on the battle system of, like, I love the boomerang where you just kind of have to keep hitting it and keep timing it to get extra damage, which adds that extra level to a turn-based RPG. The team behind it clearly is, passion driven, and I'm so excited both for the game's success. Also, it dropped onto Game Pass. I've played it a little bit. I have not finished
Oh, I
anywhere
did not
near.
know that. I
Yeah,
didn't
dude.
know that. I didn't
Yeah.
know it was on Game Pass. Oh
So it is
no.
something where it's that, like, I think that's such a smart play because, of it, not having that visibility into the market. So many games coming out, and I'm really excited to see both it critically acclaimed, and then at the same time, it's just such a fun, game to play. And that for me also is another game that I will sit down and play with the kids as well.
Do you feel like it's hitting like that, like Final Fantasy 3, 4, 5
I would say
kind
more of a
of
Chrono Trigger.
feeling? Okay.
If you remember Chrono Trigger, that
Oh
just
yeah.
the style and then the characters, and there's a level of silliness that they build in
So,
to the story.
speaking of,
Yeah.
as good as Sea of Stars was, it's got competition right in that sort of
Yep.
niche of the genre from our next nominee, one of mine, I think, for this category, and that is Star Ocean: The Second Story R. I believe
Yeah.
the R alluding to the fact that
I've
this is a
heard such good
remake,
things. Yeah.
from that didn't come to the West, that was only in Japan. And not only is this just a fantastic RPG in the same vein of Sea of Stars, I will say, in terms of just grading it on like its RPG ness and like what those elements are and stuff, I think I've seen the broader reception kind of fall on the Sea of Stars side. It
Hmm.
might also be getting a little bit of indie bias, like I'm not really sure. People might be saying, well, because this is coming out of a studio that you wouldn't expect to be able to deliver on like an SNES classic 90s level caliber RPG, whereas Square, they're kind of the ones who like started the whole ball,
Hmm.
so maybe that's why it's getting all this praise, and it's more than warranted for Sea of Stars. But yeah, Second Story R is something special, even outside of just the fact that it's just a fantastic RPG game. What they've been able to do here, and I've also nominated for art direction, we'll get there, with how they've sort of remade this, and they've taken like the old sprite look, but then they have these very detailed backgrounds. I'll switch over to that now because we have that for our stuff later for art direction. But like if you look at like this stuff in the back here, like you've got like the castle and you have like the sprites layered over that. It's very cool what they were able to do with this game and with this art style. And then yeah, just on top of that, it's just a fantastic game. Um, like I've heard only good things about this game, and I did get to sit down and play it like for a couple hours. Had a great time with it. Looking forward to it. It's a little obtuse in the way that all these type of games kind of are, but it's like
Hmm.
you either sign up for that or you don't. And like if you're trying to play one of these, like you are looking for that. You're looking to like spend some time with some menus and like really flesh out like
Yeah.
what the roles in your party are gonna be and stuff like that. And yeah, as far as like that type of Chrono Trigger, real time, but like pseudo turn-based type of combat, yeah, this is scratching that itch for sure. And then another of, I guess, what I'll call like the trifecta
Yeah.
of our
What a
2D
great year for
RPGs.
this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude, for our 2D RPGs, a game that kind of got overshadowed by
Yeah.
these other two,
Yeah. I agree.
unfortunately, and also the fact that it's got a 2 on the end. So whatever, been there, done that, I guess. But it's Octopath Traveler 2, which by all accounts, from everybody that I saw covering or reviewing this game, this is one that I have not had the opportunity to play yet. I did play the first one,
Hmm.
but they just say like, yep, it's just the first one, but they like fixed a lot of the problems and it's just objectively better. All of the 8 narratives are compelling and enjoyable. They range from like very classic, hero out to save the world, all the way to like funky sci-fi, goofy stuff. I mean, like that this franchise, I guess we'd now call it, kind of took the world by storm in the first place because of the whole concept behind the name itself, which is that you've got 8 different protagonists, 8 different
to
stories.
jump in on that also with the 2D HD kind of style that they've brought in, and that kicks off the second story.
Bring these old games back.
They're doing this. They're doing the 2D HD for Dragon Quest 3 remake, and I'm guessing that's gonna be sometime next year. And so like all of that, like because people see this and then they're like, they should just redo all the great SNES
Live Alive.
They did a Live Alive already, and so it's like it seems like there's this trajectory to really kind of bring back this style of game that I think has a lot of nostalgia. Chrono Trigger, of course. For Chrono Trigger. Dude, Chrono Trigger would be insane if they remaster that in this style.
Especially if they did it like Second Story R.
Right, exactly.
Oh my god, yeah.
Oh my gosh, yes. Like, sign me up.
Woo!
But that's the thing. Like, this Octopath Traveler was kind of that catalyst, and then that's why
it did kind of start that whole revolution. It was kind of jump started it. And I think it also showed that like, oh, we're not done yet. Like, we can have a Sea of Stars. We can have a brand new game, a brand new franchise, new IP come onto the scene, do this type of game that we saw in the 90s that people are very, very fond of, and that it's timeless. It's just timeless. Like, Chrono Trigger will never go away. Like, if Chrono Trigger came out right now, it'd be on this list with these games, like, so the fact that with these type of games, the fact that we got 2 in here that are they're just new stories, new games, new adventures. Like, that's so cool. And then being able to revitalize and bring back something like Second Story R in the style that they did. Like, I talked about this last episode. It's like the anti-cash grab year. Like, Square, they could have just pumped this out, did some anti-aliasing on it, like made it look a little more pretty or whatever. No, like, they redesigned this thing from the ground up. It is a visual treat. It is a fantastic game to play. So yeah, all 3 of those, man, it kind of sucks Baldur's Gate came out this year.
Like, to be nominated next to Baldur's Gate 3, I think is in and of itself an award, because any other year, like, oh my gosh, like I would really be struggling. Go ahead.
At the very end, I'm gonna let you talk about this one, Brian. I mean, we can talk about this way too long, man. We need a whole episode. But this was the game that I thought was like gonna be the Zelda conqueror. Like, I thought this was gonna be the other game in the conversation. I didn't even know Baldur's Gate 3 was a thing. All I knew about Baldur's Gate 3 was that it came out on Stadia about 2 years ago, and that's about it. And Starfield, I thought, was gonna be the powerhouse. I think, unfortunately, it just didn't sit well with a lot of people.
I think there's part where people, no matter what, like, Starfield became another like console war game. That's why I'm like, I believe it. I wish it came to PlayStation. I think that would be a good thing. I'm not a fan of like, hey, you can't play this game on this one place. Like, and it's just only in one spot that you can. If
PlayStation's gonna take Final Fantasy and Spider-Man's their own, it's from their in-house studio. But if PlayStation's gonna take Final Fantasy by signing a contract, it's tough, man. Like,
it sucks. It sucks. Like, that's the answer in my mind. Like, Final Fantasy 16 exclusive PS5, Starfield not on PlayStation. Like, it sucks. It sucks. Put
everything on everywhere except for Nintendo. You just gotta buy
that. I want Nintendo everywhere
that you hold in your hand. Yeah, but they're never doing that.
Oh man, you never know. Never's a long time.
But what do we need to say about Starfield? I mean, like, everybody who tunes into you knows that you love it. I love it as well.
It's good. I really enjoyed the story and the characters. Like, I was a little bit fatigued from the multiverse kind of component, but it's an interesting take on New Game Plus as well. Kind of giving that whole different perspective. But then I'm just like, all right, like, it's fun. I don't think I'm going to continue to multi-universe the game unless for some reason there ends up being some kind of like
easy there, Brian. Easy. Like, we don't want to say too much, but
I think everybody's
travel to somewhere and do something, and it's very interesting and intriguing, and you should definitely play the game.
I really enjoyed it, but I would say, like, having gone and played Star Citizen, Like, I would say that if
not the Star,
dude, Star Citizen, in terms of its direct streaming and travel and planetary stuff, not that it has to like be as a direct simulation of that, but if you go and just take their travel system and you insert that into Starfield, I think the thing that a lot of people ended up going like, you know what, I'm having fun, but I just have to keep popping into this loading screen and then into this loading
space
screen
stuff.
Yeah,
it's like why does No Man's Sky have better systems than some of what this studio with all its budget can do? I told you when the game was about to come out, I think on this show.
Yeah.
I told you going in, I was like, I have low expectations, and I'm going to approach this like it is the Forgotten City, or I'm playing Elder Scrolls Oblivion again, or whatever. Like, I want to walk up to people and then be like, hello, how are you doing? I'm Reginald, like, and whatever. And that, let's figure out what's going on with Reginald. Yeah. Oh, you need me to go get a branch from this tree that like wants to mate with another tree apparently, and is like using underground waves to signify that, which is going to cause an earthquake in the spaceport. So I have to go to Red Dead Redemption Land to go get this tree branch, and then I'm just gonna say Alakazam Kazoo, I'm a wordsmith and I can persuade you because my persuasion stat is high enough. Give me your tree branch, and then I go back. I love that stuff. It's stupid. Yeah. And like that can be in space, that can be in a post-apocalyptic world, that can be in high fantasy. That I love what Bethesda does with these type of. I like the structure of these RPGs. They're goofy, they're fun, they're compelling. And hot take, I mean, Oblivion was good, but I honestly don't really think
more than Skyrim.
I don't really think that like Bethesda's like main storylines are like that great anyway. Like when you compare them to like other games, Yeah. Like again, Oblivion's was very compelling. Game. Yeah. Right. Like you want to go be a space pirate, and like you're a double agent for the whatever. It's not the UNFC or whatever from Halo, but the same thing. I forgot what they're called now. Yeah. Like, and yeah, you want to do all that stuff, and you want to be a space ranger cowboy guy, and you want to do what I did and join like what Cyberpunk should have been in terms of the like corporate underworld or whatever, like where you're like doing backroom deals and sabotaging other businesses and stuff. Like that's what Starfield's for. It's not so you can get in a ship and fly around and feel like you're actually in space. That's what Star Citizen and No Man's Sky are for. And look, Todd Howard wanted to do this game in space, and he had a vision, and as far as he's concerned, he realized that, and I'm happy for that. Did this game have to be in space for me to want to play it? Absolutely not. In fact, I might have preferred it was somewhere else, but it is in space, and it's cool.
It's interesting because I don't like the theme of the post-apocalyptic. That's where it's like, I've never, like, people are like, oh, it's like Fallout 4 in space. I'm like, I never really got into the Fallout series because it wasn't my theme of a game that I'm like, oh, I absolutely have to play. But the space theme is one of the key attractive factors where I was like, I like that humanity's expanded into the stars. I like some of the quests, especially the NASA quest, learning what happened to Earth and just that mindset. I thought that was really interesting. And, so there were some really great moments, some really great quests, especially with swapping between like, different dimensions to puzzle solve and then essentially learning, because I picked one universe to survive, and then somebody's like, there's a way you can get both universes to survive. I'm like,
see, I don't even know what you're talking about, Brian. You gotta chill, man. You gotta chill. I know there's like universe travel and stuff, but I haven't beaten it. So,
oh, dude, I think it's definitely going to be what's going to be really the true testament of Starfield, whether it's a good game or a bad game, because we know that they support modders. We know that historically modders,
it's already good.
No, it's that when we talk about it in terms of gaming culture, because you and I agree that it's both, like, we both like this game, but in terms of the greater
best games to come out this year, it's on our Game of the Year nominees list. Yeah, you're talking
about like in 5 years, like I think Starfield is going to continue to be a game just like with Diablo and perhaps Baldur's Gate 3 that is still being talked about, that's still being modded, that's still having content. And then, yes, maybe the modders go in and create the Star Citizen travel experience within the game's engine. And I wouldn't put it past them. I've seen modders within Bethesda games like clearly do, where people are like, why don't you just hire these guys and just make them a part of the the company, because they're doing great work. So we'll have to wait and see.
I think the failing of Starfield can be summed up in basically one sentence, which is that it's better than Fallout 4 and Fallout 76. It's not better than whatever the newest version of Skyrim is. I mean, how can it not be better than Skyrim if it's 12 years on? I mean, that you have some explaining to do at that point. Yeah. And they don't have really good explanations for that. And it's you don't know if it's the setting or the scope or the vision, but you can look at those two games, pretty much everybody can, and it's like, Skyrim's still more of a moment. You know, we were talking about Baldur's Gate 3 versus Witcher 3. You know, Witcher 3 is a moment, but it's a moment that has sort of been outpaced a little bit by Baldur's Gate 3 at this point, and that's probably going to be the landmark game in this genre that everybody sort of alludes to. I think people are still going to talk about Bethesda as the people who made Skyrim. And there's a small failing there, and I'm not really sure that we can.
It'll be interesting to see what happens, you know, going into this next, you know, couple of years, because there's rumors and leaks and more. But I think we could that's a topic for, you know, another podcast, as a whole podcast for just that topic alone. So we've got to pick a winner. I think I know what you're gonna pick.
Oh, you do?
I do. I think I would guess that you're going to pick what I'm going to pick, but I don't know.
Oh, well, I kind of have to. I mean, can we just combine Sea of Stars, Star Ocean, and Octopath Traveler 3 into this like
into
giant
one monolith?
Yeah, this giant conglomerate of like
to the 2D.
Yes, yeah,
RPG.
exactly. That would be a twist, but no, it's got to go to Baldur's Gate 3. With an aside of like, those three games are fantastic, and I think both of us are so happy that they came out this year. And it's just every game on this list, man, like so good. Like it's category more than any. I think
Baldur's Gate 3 started off as a semi-Stadia exclusive. Zoe Liz pointed that out, and like I remember that's actually where I picked it up originally, playing it on Stadia. And then here we are years later, and it's like, Stadia's no more, but Baldur's Gate 3, incredible game. So I don't know if that if Google in any way helped to fund that reality and keep it going, even if they decided to pack up shop. I'm pleased with that. All right, our next category is best multiplayer,
which I have a bone to pick with this category in general.
Okay,
because so to me, I like. It's just a me thing. It's not really what this category is necessarily or what it's limited to. But when I think of best multiplayer, I think a game that is designed from the ground up to be a multiplayer type of experience, like a game like The Division, like Destiny, like Call of Duty, I'm like Overwatch. I'm thinking like this is a multiplayer game. And so there's some nominees in this category that are overlaps from the Game Awards that we have, which are well, I know for a fact that Baldur's Gate 3 and Super Mario Bros. Wonder. I don't know why I struggled to say that. Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Super Mario Bros. 3 times fast. I wanted to say Odyssey for a second, but Super Mario Bros. Wonder are both on our list and the Game Awards list for this category. However, those are kind of games that are just have a multiplayer mode in it. And I'll be interested to see what you have to say about the Baldur's Gate multiplayer mode, because I know a lot of people have played that game in multiplayer. In fact, we could just start with that game maybe as our first nominee. But I guess for me, I just think about games that are like multiplayer to their core, like you know, Apex would be in this category the year that it came out, or a Dead by Daylight, kind of like the ongoing games that we were talking about, like Halo Infinite. You know, but a game that came out this year. That's kind of how I'm thinking of this category. But I mean, and It Takes Two, I guess, is like just as valid. Or, you know, Little Big Planet or something like that. It's just not quite how I look at like what this category is supposed to be, but that could just be some sort of weird bias on my part. But what do you know about Baldur's Gate multiplayer? Because I've used it. Some people, I played like the whole game through. It's like playing a D&D game basically with a buddy.
So like my weakness for it is that it isn't an essentially something that works with my schedule. So it's that, yes, multiplayer. Okay, we're gonna play this game. You know, it ends up being more of a scheduling thing. I'm glad that it exists. I hope that I can spend more time with it whenever some available time pops in, and I'm like, let's play this. But I'm glad it exists. It works. However, it isn't something that it's like where if I was going to classify multiplayer, I always would prioritize and give it to anything that's drop in, drop out.
Yes.
Match made in that regard. So
which,
yes,
speaking of,
yes, go ahead.
Speaking of what, this is the only time that I can talk about this game in particular. And I know it's not going to win ours because it's not. Unfortunately, it's not family friendly at all. But it's the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, dude. Yeah. They nailed this. They absolutely nailed this game. This is the Friday the 13th team. If you remember, like sort of the sort of heyday that game had in terms of it was just kind of, it was like Phasmophobia or one of those that just pops up and everybody's like, oh wow, look at this. Unfortunately, this game, like, it had that moment, but not quite. It basically had more of a moment, I think, from offshoot Dead by Daylight players. Dead by Daylight has this weird love-hate relationship with its community where everybody plays it, but they like hate it. It's kind of like Destiny players, actually, now that I think about it. But this game did have a moment, and everybody that played it really, really enjoyed it. And then they kind of just left it, unfortunately. But as far as faithfulness to the movie franchise, like the literal house on the inside looks like the same house from the films.
Okay.
Like all of the aesthetic looks like that 70s kind of very rustic, rundown type of look that they have from the iconic film. And then if you want to talk about the gameplay, because that's why we're here, right? For this game, like for Dead by Daylight, you just kind of have the killer and the players in a map, and you're sort of doing the mundane task of trying to find a generator and press the button in time with when you're supposed to press it, so that you don't blow the generator up, thereby alerting the killer so he'll go and chase you, and then you're not doing the objective, which means that the game takes longer, and then people are going to get killed off, etc. This game is like literally like you're trapped in the basement. And I'm like picking locks and stuff. Like, I got to go find a lock pick, and then I got to pick this lock, and then I got to creep up, and then I got to go around it, around the exterior of the house to get through this gate to get into the side garden. And then I got to, like, I feel like when I play this, I'm actually kind of playing an almost like a little dash of Metal Gear or something, or like Hitman, or like these old type of stealth games. And then a dash of like Resident Evil, like I'm fearful, like I don't want the big bad to like come and chase me and stuff. Like it feels like I'm more engaged with what's going on here. Like it's almost like it could be the gameplay of it. If you just took it in isolation and somebody watched it, they might be like, are you playing a single player game right now? Like I think that's very engaging to put the player in a situation where they feel like they have total agency. Like sometimes you can work as a team. Sometimes I'm like, screw it, Leatherface chasing you, bro. I gotta pick this lock, man. Keep him busy. Yeah, I hear that chainsaw going, man. Give me like 2 more minutes. Like let me crank this generator up. Like and this game is tense. It's fun. It makes for great Twitch viewing. Like people getting freaked out when they get spotted or whatever, and then they get chased around everywhere. I think as far as like making a competitor to Dead by Daylight, which is the ultimate asymmetrical multiplayer game, which is that's the subgenre that this is in, is that asymmetrical. This in particular is three villains or whatever, and 4 survivors. Taking on that that space is tough. We've had some come and they don't stick. I think like the last one was like Predator Hunting Grounds or whatever. Just didn't really like blow up. It just didn't really stick. There was one called VHS on PC that didn't really do well. That game might have even shut down. So I love the fact that this team took everything that they learned from Friday the 13th. They took on another, is beloved the right word, iconic horror film franchise with a character that's so well known. A universe or kind of a space that's emulated often and well known, and just nailed it in terms of the aesthetic and also just the gameplay of this game, like what it feels like to play this game. It's tense, it's fun. You can play it for a couple of hours, it's still fun. It kind of has that like that battle royale type of feel of like, let's run another one. Oh, I got chainsaw this time. Like maybe I'll get out the next time. Like there's that thrill, that high of like when you get out. Like it's kind of like I was talking about with Hunt. Like when you get out with the bounty, and you're like, we did it! Like yes,
we did it.
Like yeah, like escaping from these axe murderers is like very thrilling to accomplish, especially if you get your whole team out. Like that feels amazing. Yeah. And I do play more on the survivor side. I'm not the most sadistic type person, but yeah, there's people that love being Leatherface and grinding everybody up and whatever. And I got you. You didn't get out, So there's something here for everybody, and it's just the core gameplay is great. It's a fantastic multiplayer game. I think it's exactly what we need to look for in this category. And it is a year where we just didn't get like a big Overwatch or a big Halo or anything come out. So really happy to highlight this game here as one of our nominees. And the same thing goes for the next one, which I did not think I would be putting on this list, but I was struggling to find games for this category, man. And so this one is going to be much lesser known. But one of the most popular anime in the United States of America is My Hero Academia, which is an anime about a bunch of young kids that go to like a high school to become superheroes as like a career path. And this game is yeah, exactly, right? Like we love our superheroes here in the US of A. And this is from the developer studio called Biking, which is a team that has done 2 arena fighters based on this anime, and probably some that are based on other animes. But I think I can speak for a lot of anime fans, even though I'm not the biggest anime fan, that there are too many anime-themed 3D arena fighters. Like, make other anime-themed games, please. I think people really like that One Piece now has like 2 like pseudo RPG type games. Like, that's great. Like, we need more of that type stuff. This kind of goes in the other direction because we're talking about multiplayer games, but they took those assets that they had from the 3D arena fighters that they had, and they said, you know what? I bet we can do a Fortnite type of deal. I bet we can do you drop in, you've got a squad of 3, and you're running around the map or whatever. So they've got those characters and given them like abilities and like long range attacks and stuff. Like you're basically like using your wrist, you know, to shoot somebody like with pulsars or whatever, depending on like what that character's power is. Yeah. And as somebody that again, I'm not an anime person, but I am all the way caught up on this show because it got me hooked, and it's just got an old fashioned, compelling, great story to it and some great characters. They're really, really faithful to this source material, and there's a lot of tender love and care here. And not only that, but like it's just a fun game. Like they managed to make a fun battle royale when we're at a point where it feels so oversaturated and so rote. Trying all these battle royales, like there's there's another, it's Hyperscape or like whatever Ubisoft came out. Oh, okay, I'll play that one too. You know, yeah. Rumbleverse just came and went. So the fact that this game dropped, they just announced that they just hit 8 million downloads for this game total. Yeah. So I mean, and their community support is fantastic, and their content schedule is fantastic. I think this game's been out for like 2-3 months. They've already had like 2-3 character drops. So like they're killing Avengers, you know, as far as putting out new superhero characters in their game. And yeah, people were like, because this is totally free to play, by the way, which, you know, you and I like, you know, give people a way to access your game easier, right? You know, especially you don't have the funds or whatever. But it's got those like Genshin Impact type of like, gotcha, I'll do the thing, and yeah, I'll do the thing, and I'll roll, and I can see if I can get the super, like the guy in the thumbnail there is All Might, and he's kind of like the Captain America or the Superman, if you will. So like a lot of people would want to roll him, you know, so they might be trying to do these summons, and people are like, hey, these odds aren't good, or we're not getting enough of the tickets to like do it, and the developers are like, okay, we'll just up it by double. We'll just give you double what the rewards that you were getting before. Like it just feels like they're like, yeah, we want to make some money because this game is free, but we don't need to like, you know, swindle you. You know, like we just want to get to a good place with the community where we can monetize our game and people really enjoy it. And so like they've been like on the ball in terms of like patching things and fixing things that are broken and making sure that the gacha mechanics are not overly burdensome. And they're hitting their content windows as far as new character, event. Like, I mean, you love to see a game launch like that and it not be like a multiverses fiasco and them like hit all their marks.
Dude, I love multiverses. I love, and I really can't wait to see when it comes back because it's like, oh my gosh.
But that's the thing. Yeah. This game may never have to go away, and so wouldn't that be nice? You know, so
that's the risk, especially with games preservation and these like always online. Like I love multiplayer games, yet you know that's a constant thing that it's like I kind of have to like unfortunately be like, all right, at some point I might not be able to play this game. At some point, Bungie might remove content that I paid for. You know, like at some point, like not that I'm justifying it. It's just that like.
Which makes these free to play games all the better because you can just jump in and play them for when they matter, and then
just don't hook your credit card up to it. I always advise parents. I'm like, oh, it's a free game. Okay, just make sure your card isn't hooked up, because I've been in meetings where dads have been like, how do they spend $800 on Fortnite? And I'm like, my God. That's why Fortnite's making billions of dollars. You got these kids that are just like, give me. I don't understand what money is. and dad just like gets a shock statement at the end of the day. The next game is the one that I recommend
for audio listeners.
For the audio listeners, Remnant 2. I think this is such a beautiful, fun game. I think it really plays really well. We talked about it earlier in the previous podcast. It has that Souls-like looter shooter approach and feel, and I believe it actually just entered into Game Pass. Unless
it did.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So another Game Pass game. For those of you who are Game Pass subscribers, I highly recommend the service. And yes, I do know that there are people who are worried about like, well, once it hits market saturation, they'll just start raising the price. And like, I get it, but whenever that day does come, you know, I'm gonna enjoy my time with the service. But until then.
We talked about it when we talked about action games. You know, we pretty much had a consensus with Lies of P, but we both acknowledged like, even though Lies of P is probably the best game that came out in that genre this year, out of Lies of P, Lords of the Fallen, Remnant 2, and Wolong, Remnant's the one that's got that really good drop in, drop out multiplayer.
That's an important feature. That is such an important feature.
So honestly,
it makes it easy.
It might be a dark horse for this category for us. I'm interested to see what happens here. And then obviously we've talked about Mario. I mean, the fact that
I could talk a little bit about its multiplayer though, because I think Wonder is a beautiful evolution of the local and even the online multiplayer. So they added in this feature. So I felt like in the new, and I'm putting that in quotes because I hated the name when they like, why would you add the word new to your game? Because like the first new one is over 20 years old. Like, come on, guys. You know, I have a whole bit about the New Testament. It's just like the word new. What is it? Come on. But the idea here is that they took from that series where it felt multiplayer was ended up being more competitive because you had more chance to screw each other over than actually assist and help. And this one feels way more
now. Okay.
Well, and this one feels so much better. Like you could, like, let's say my kid wants to play Yoshi. Like I could even hop on his back. So I'm riding Yoshi in the game, and he's, you know, and it's just great. Like I love the level detail. I love the character selection. I love the badge system because that way they make all the characters play the same, and then you can equip a badge that can give you a special ability or a special power or a perk. You know, and I'm like, oh, that's just adds a lot more to the replayability, and the visual effects, you know, we talked about in terms of the game are great, but then you take it into the online space and you're seeing ghost characters also play the level, and you can put up like these little things that can help each other out. You can give each other powers. You get points
almost
if you finish the level at the same time. But it's not, almost Souls-esque, but it's not, there's no negative to doing it. It's only positive, and it's a really
the being able
experience.
to affect each other's worlds, kind of like that bleed effect a little bit.
And and it's really cool because it can help you out. They can save you if you're in a pit. So it actually, in a way, makes it easier. My kids actually have an easier time, especially the younger ones, because they can actually get some assistance from just somebody else who's also playing the game. So I'm really actually impressed with Super Mario Wonder's multiplayer, and it felt like a really good evolution to like a game that you're like, oh, it's got multiplayer. Okay, this is crazy.
And no issues with the Switch Online system as far as that goes.
I mean, Switch Online has I have natural issues with Switch.
You're like, I didn't say that. I don't put those words in my mouth. No,
it does feel seamless, but with all Nintendo things, it's like, hey, would you like to connect to the internet? Like, yes, like always. Why are we like, you know, why is this a prompt? Like, let's just make this thing a system-wide thing that I don't have to be prompted by. Like, by the way, parents, you might be connecting to the internet. We can't guarantee that. It's like, I am the adult here. Like, I'm on an adult account. Let me just connect. Anyway.
And then our last nominee, one that impressed me quite a bit on the multiplayer front, it's Diablo 4 again. The fact that this is such a great single-player RPG Yeah, like and it even feels a little bit MMO-esque. Like I played my 50 or 55 hours of this game with the beta. Like I did like every Altar of Lilith and every side quest and like explored every part of the map. I probably would have kept playing in that small area still if I'd had more time, but I got to do the world raid boss. You know, with like 25 people in the map at once attacking this giant boss. Like the MMO elements feel like I'm usually not into that. Like I think my least favorite part about the Elder Scrolls Online is that the word online is there. I just want to go on like my own like little Dark Brotherhood adventure or whatever. The fact that the sort of MMO light, like Division, Destiny-esque elements here have been added into this game so seamlessly, and they actually, I think, enhance the experience that you're having. That's impressive to me. Because when I play an RPG that's like about me saving the world or whatever, and you know, bringing back the true gods or, you know, whatever the heck the story is, I want to feel like it's like me, like I'm on that journey, not the other guy talking this NPC right next to me or whatever. And for whatever reason with this game, like I'm just like, yeah, man, like let me invite 2 friends and let's go, you know, let's go into this cave and let's learn about this high priestess or like whatever, you know, like I don't know how they were able to kind of get me in that way to feel so good about the multiplayer elements, but they really did. I think the reason that this game impressed me so much is that it's not the type of game that I would be drawn towards in terms of so many levels of like what type of genre it is. The fact that it's that isometric ARPG, and then the fact that it's like an MMO light type of game, and I just loved it. So I think it makes a strong case. I mean, it was very seamless in terms of the multiplayer, just being able to go and grind dungeons with your friends and stuff. I think it's a strong case for one of the best multiplayer games of the year. So I don't know what we're gonna do with this category, Brian. Do you have like 2 that you really like?
I have 2
here? Okay, what do you got for me?
Mario Wonder with its evolution, and it's one of the games that I play more than any other multiplayer game, but that's obviously a fact of life. And then I would say Remnant 2. I thought that really came in. The gameplay in and of itself. You know, I hear what you're saying with Diablo. However, like, oh man, I like, you know, another year, but man, I would have, I'm between Mario and Remnant 2 in terms of like hashing it out. Do you got 2? Do you have 2?
Mine would be Diablo and Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Okay. How do we figure this out? How do we?
Okay,
we gotta come to a resolution.
It's got to come down to, I think, because you're giving.
I cannot go with Texas because I'm not a horror fan.
And I think you're giving some props to Diablo, so I think we gotta hash this out between Diablo and Remnant 2. Ooh, okay. This is like the most contentious one that we've had.
My goodness. Okay. See here. Gosh darn it, because like I like, well, Diablo recently came to Steam, which is I think a really good strength, you know, having it, and then it and I'm hoping that means it bleeds into you know, into like GeForce
you know what?
Now, but Remnant 2 is already on GeForce Now.
Remnant 2 is on Game Pass. It's taking the Souls formula and making it like, that's a genre that is known for being so obtuse.
Yeah.
In terms of your ability to join up with friends. It's taking that and making that at least palatable on some level and sort of building the game around the multiplayer aspect. You're supposed to take on these bosses with a group if you can. And Diablo has had some hiccups with doling out its DLC content and its season structure. And you know, like charging $25 for cosmetic armor sets,
right?
And people buying the battle pass on accident because the cursor snapped over to it.
Yeah.
So while I think they had a tremendous launch, both of these are kind of ongoing live service games, and one of them has kind of screwed the pooch a little bit, as they say. So I guess we're giving this to Remnant 2, multiplayer game of the year for Epic Loot Radio. I love it. That's spicy. On this list, that's very spicy.
I'm really glad you brought up the points against Diablo, because for my experience where I've had definitely a lot of fun with it, like there's just things that I'm like, at some point I'm like, how much are we willing to excuse? And not that things can't change, and it's not that they shouldn't, but there is that level. It's like, okay, we say we like these things, but then we don't support them financially, and we don't do these things. And so that's where it's like, I'm really proud.
We gotta pick up our pace, because I know you got like 20-30 minutes at maximum.
And I tell you, it's I love doing these shows during the day, but it's
I love how this category is just best family. It's not best family game. It's what's the best family.
What's the best family?
Yeah.
Who rocks? What's the best video game family?
Best family. I want to give a nod to Disney Illusion Island.
Okay, nice.
Kind of what you were talking about with Mario. Just a great game for your whole family to sit down and play. I don't know if you have a copy of this, but it's kind of that little Big Planet Super Mario Wonder kind of style of that platforming, and you're helping each other out and stuff. And it's some of the mechanics are like so funny.
Yeah.
Like if you're playing it with one of your kids and you're Goofy and he's Donald or whatever, and he loses a health point or whatever, you go over with Goofy and give him a big old hug, and you restore him back to full health.
Oh,
like, there's
nice.
such like wholesome stuff in this game, and it's like a really good platformer too. Like, it's a really great Metroidvania type of game. It's kind of got a little bit of that Cuphead type of vibe. I mean, they're stealing from old Disney cartoon look aesthetic as well. So, I mean, like, it's kind of chicken or egg thing. But yeah, it's kind of like Cuphead meets Little Big Planet with a dash of Mario in it, because every platformer has to have a dash of Mario in it, because Mario's the greatest, basically, to ever do it. So, yeah, I mean, this game... It's very quaint. It's very wonderful. Everyone should play it. I think it was MSRP $40 as well. So not breaking the bank for it. Lovely little treasure. This one probably not gonna. Well, I mean, it's a contender for this category, and it is in this category for the Game Awards proper. So, but we all know who's gonna win this, which we've already talked about. But another game that we haven't talked about yet is Jusant, which is
like
a
how
don't
you
not.
say it.
What? Climb the mountain. In Jusant, you climb the mountain. And this is a don't nod joint. And this is nominated. I've nominated this for indie game as well. Because Don't Nod is self-publishing now. They were with Square, but they've been cut loose. The Life is Strange developers, and this is just a wholesome. It's not multiplayer, but it's just a wholesome kind of version of the whole only up and get over it with Bennett Foddy type of we gotta send this peak thing, overcoming adversity, but it's much more calm. It's much more in the style of like a journey or something, like the game Journey. And like it looks kind of like an Annapurna game to a certain degree. Like, it has that like calm indie aesthetic. And yeah, like in terms of this being in the family category, it has some good lessons about overcoming adversity and not getting too frustrated in terms of being challenged, and it very much is kind of built around those mechanics. If you fall or whatever, like there's like it's just like you're actually rock climbing. There's like a pulley system, and you'll get caught by it or whatever, so you're not going to fall down to the bottom of the mountain or something. And I think it's just a very good game as far as like especially for a young person who's like coming of age or whatever, to sort of get into like more challenging aspects of gaming, but also ones that are inherently relaxing and such. And it has just a generally good vibe and a good message. And then we've got the two that like want to be better than Mario, but they're not, unfortunately. Pikmin 3, dude. I'm so glad that Pikmin 3 is nominated for a category that we...
Yeah,
no, Pikmin
impressive.
4. I'm sorry, I'm saying Pikmin 3.
4, yeah.
Pikmin 4, which goes above and beyond what Pikmin 3 was able to do. These games just keep getting better with each one that comes out. They're so unique and so charming and interesting, and it's nominated for Best Sim or Strategy Game, which we didn't do, but it's going to win because everybody loves this game, and they're like, oh my god, Pikmin 4 can win something. Like, vote for Pikmin 4. So I'm going to be really happy on Thursday night when Pikmin 4 wins Best Sim Strategy. Calling it now. Because everybody loves this game. Everybody loves you see in the thumbnail, a little dog.
Big fans, yeah.
The little dog thing that doesn't make any sense because he's like the size of a baseball. So I don't know how there's a dog that's baseball size, but whatever. He's running around and eating stuff so you can progress or whatever. Yeah, this game's adorable, and it's fun too. Like, it's challenging. Like, it's got good puzzle elements. I mean, Nintendo took a big swing with the Pikmin franchise in the first place, and that's that Nintendo magic. Is like, we're gonna make a game about God knows what. You just got these little minion guys, and different colors do different things and whatever. Yeah, we'll just make that a game, and everybody falls in love with it, and now it's like a well-known franchise. So yeah, Pikmin 4. I think everybody loved this game, and if it came out in a different year, like, it might win this category with ease. Sonic. Sonic games are good again, and we got Sonic movies, and they're good somehow.
Oh, dude, the Sonic movies are great.
Yeah, like I'm here for it, man. I'm here for good Sonic games. I think everybody's just kind of like, this game's kind of like good. This game's good. I don't think this game is like knocking anybody over, blowing anybody away.
Mind like hold a candle, obviously, against like Super Mario Wonder.
Yeah,
but I'm excited that like I think the best Sonic game, like there was like this period in my mind where I was like, Sonic games are so just like a disappointment. It felt like there was always something let down, and then Sonic Mania came out, and that really just fundamentally, I was like, this is what Sonic, this is that. And then we've seen, I think, since then, an improvement within just that as a franchise from a video game. And I think the movies have really helped to say like, yeah, Sonic can be a really good game, and it should, in my mind, still exist today. But like when I look at this category, like there's just no way that I can say Sonic would take it over something like Super Mario Wonder. I don't know what you're going to end up voting on. And we've covered Mario Wonder in length, that you could tell I'm a fan.
Yeah, we have one more nominee here, and that's Disney Speedstorm, which we talked about sort of the family aspects of that when we went over it in the sports and racing category.
Yeah.
It's just a fun time, especially if you cut the internet cord and you can race with Elsa now. What little girl doesn't want to do that? They've got like 5 Frozen characters. They've got the 2 dudes and the 2 girls. I don't know, man. And Olaf the Snowman.
You don't know Frozen, man. Like, yeah.
Anna and Elsa.
One of us is a parent.
Yeah. Anna and Elsa and Olaf and a bunch of other, like Toy Story, Monsters Inc.
Yeah.
Lilo and Stitch. Classic Disney characters, all the way down to like Minnie and Daisy. Steamboat Willie is in there. I mean, Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, Hercules, Mulan, all these franchises. You got racers. And the thing I didn't talk about in the sports and racing section is that, Mario Kart is just like the power-ups, right? Like you just pick up the power-ups and you use them. And that's just like shells and stars and etc. In this game, there are those standard power-ups, but then every character, every single one has their own unique bespoke ability. So like, for instance, Mulan shoots the like Chinese style rockets, like the one that she shoots into the mountain that like does an avalanche and collapses on Shan Yu. That's her ability, is she shoots that rocket at people ahead of her to like try to disrupt them. Like, that's so cool. That's like, cool. And Elsa does like ice stuff, and Buzz has like a rocket ship. I mean, like there's a lot of thought being put into this, and dedication and care for the source material. So that's really cool. I like that. That's very unique. It sort of justifies this game existing as a kart racer when you have a game like you were saying. Like, I would nominate Mario Kart for best racing game of the year if it didn't come out, however many years ago on the Wii U.
They classify remakes as a contender. Why not like DLC that, like, I don't know.
it's Mario with honorable mentions to Disney Illusion Island and Pikmin 4, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, Mario is just gonna. I don't even know if Jeff Keighley's gonna like announce this as more than and for Family Game of the Year, it's gonna be Super Mario Wonder. I mean, like we're just gonna brush over it. Like
it's gonna be like on its. Congrats to all these other winners.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like it's just a done deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's interesting that like Zelda isn't really being. I mean, I guess it's not multiplayer, but does that have any adult themes or?
No.
Yeah. So I would think that would be a family game, but I don't think it was nominated for this category, so I didn't think to put it here if they didn't see it as a family game. I don't know
the thing is that, especially with Zelda though, like as opposed to anything else, like it like for me and my family, like it obviously then depends like what age range are we really kind of targeting with this label, because like a family game could be Chainsaw Massacre as the family, as we're all adults, right?
Literally the family,
right? Yeah.
Like when you play as the evil side in that game, you are literally playing as the family. That's what it's called. So that's a funny joke.
But even still, like, because one of the things we've been talking about in the Discord and things like that is that, like, as my kids get older, like, I want to get them into Star Citizen, and we have the ability to fly ships together, and I'm looking at like what does that look like as families that game together. So like the family category in my mind it has to be something more targeting younger audiences, and I think Zelda just misses that, namely because it is a more complex, more mechanical game. It's what you go from to Mario into that, and not that Mario can't offer that and a family game can't offer that level of complexity, but I think there is an ease of access that is continued. So those are the categories. I think we have some real strong games in this category, but I know what my heart says, and I can't. Yeah, Wonder, man. Baby. I wonder what it is, But yeah, Mario Wonder for me, I think absolutely takes the category for both its evolution and art style and gameplay and fun. And so the question is to you though, like, do you agree? Does it fall into that same kind of category?
Absolutely. It's got to win there with the type of game that it is. It's just that franchise is the king, and like you said, new sort of I think rested on its laurels a little bit. The new Mario franchise as it's going to be referred to now for the rest of time, even though it's not.
I know, man. Like, come on. Can we call it the old?
No, like it's
mid,
great.
Or the mid 2D Mario games.
It's great that Mario 2D is back in like the same way, like it's revitalized in the same way that Odyssey revitalized not that it really needed to be, because we had Sunshine and Galaxy. Like there was never a lapse in terms of the quality. And there wasn't really a lapse with the new games either, but it's just you feel it. Like you feel like Mario
Wonder
is back.
Makes you feel the difference in new. And we actually went and played a little bit of the last new Mario 2D. And then you play Wonder, and it's like it is such an evolution in every aspect. And you're right. It's a feeling that you just feel immediately. And for me, it really harkens back to Super Mario World as just this high quality, absolutely well designed, well thought out, lots of fun power-ups, lots of fun secrets. And a lot of replay value, which is just so good. Now, on our next episode, because we will have to do a part 3, we're going to kick it off with best independent game. And what we might end up doing, just because there's so much, we know that the Game Awards officially, not ours, but the official Game Awards is going to be this Thursday. Being that we have so many categories to go through, we might just schedule an evening style podcast where we both can take a little, at least, I don't think this is on Kirk at all. This is on me, and the fact that like I get some work messages and I'm like, all right, time to get back into the grind. But we might try to finish it off with the next one and do an evening podcast.
Well, we do have a Monday show coming up.
We do have another Monday show. Do you think, how many categories do we have left?
We have indie, art direction, score, music, narrative, game direction, and game of the year. Okay, I think we can do it. We gotta be
okay.
We gotta stay on it. If we could have done indie this time, it would have helped. But
it would have helped.
No, I think we could get and the further along we get with this, the more it's like we've already talked about some of these games, especially when we get into like narrative, game direction, and game of the year. I mean, it's going to be games that we've already talked about in these other categories, and then we're probably going to be talking about the same games like 3 times in a row. I do want to listen to like a little bit of snippets of the soundtracks of some of these games, like Final Fantasy. You know what I'm saying? Like, get a little head bumping to some orchestral music. But yeah, no, I think especially we can do like a 90-minute one on Monday potentially. Yeah,
I'll see if I can't schedule that
for the people.
Yeah. We got something for the people. Get it knocked out. So thank you guys so much. If you tuned in live, if you watch this as a VOD and or audio, you are awesome. We really appreciate you being there. Sound off in the comments, especially if this is a VOD for you, as that's a great way of supporting the content after it is archived as a stream. At least that's what it seems like YouTube really enjoys.
Comments were blowing up in the live, by the way. I do want to say, even though we if we'd have responded to all of them, we wouldn't even got through one category. But thank y'all so much for having a conversation while we were going through this, being engaged. And I see some stuff.
If we were engaging like we normally do with the comments, like we would have maybe gotten 1.5 categories. So y'all made some great points.
I see some stuff about Jusant here, and then some people championing for Pikmin, and they seem to like the Remnant 2 choice. So we did good, Brian. We did good. That was the spicy thing of the episode, is that we had to come to consensus on Remnant 2 for multiplayer game of the year. Unfortunately, the channel is called, well, we're on Ginger Prime as well, but the channel is called Work to Game. So we got to go back to the working so that we can game. So
that's the whole balance, man.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, man, like I'm so thankful for Game Pass as a parent, but then with the with all of these games that I keep acquiring, I just need to now find time to game.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm Kirk, and I'm over on What's New Video Games. Haven't posted any content in a while. Taking a little holiday hiatus, but games are going to be coming out here again in the new year, and we're going to have some reviews up for you. Might have a little bit of Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, but
Ooh.
Ubisoft has not been in my DMs, Brian. They don't like me anymore. So no, I'm just kidding.
I wouldn't worry about them. I will say though, like with your love and I'm hoping at some point that you will put up your Star Ocean review. I think your praise of
I know I'm gonna have
great.
to put up some like a dragon stuff.
Oh yeah, you should absolutely do that.
Yeah.
I need that video in my feed.
Oh yeah, baby. Get some Ichiban. But yeah, and guys, be on the lookout for the shorts. The shorts from the Game Awards that we've been doing have been the best ones that we've had, because it's kind of very targeted in terms of the discussion. So yeah, be on the lookout for that, and thank everybody for being here. It's a pleasure every time I come on here every other week. So thanks.
So we're gonna be back next week. We're gonna hopefully wrap up this. We'll also have information.
We will do it, Brian. Be confident. Yes. We will get through Game of the Year.
And then after that, we'll be returning kind of more to our regularly scheduled like discussion and focusing on the news. So again, and that's where we also bring y'all in. So if y'all are new here, be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, share, and more. But without further ado, guys, we're going to wish you all the very best. We'll hopefully see you in the next one. But until then, take care.
Epic Loop Radio. Epic Loop Radio.